Vibrant colors, charming visuals, a little bit of frustration, and some quick response times. My name is Livid, and here are my first impressions of Temtem, here on Legion Gaming. Today started off a bit rocky, with numerous Twitch streamers constantly encountering long loading times, server restarts, and overall lag for the first 2 hours. Seriously, it was just black screen after black screen after black screen today. So much so that my character decided to become one with the darkness. This all, however, was quickly addressed in real time by the dev team, and by the end of today, the game for the most part ran incredibly stable, smooth, and overall became an absolute pleasure to play. There were a few hiccups at the end as well, such as progress resetting, items being lost, and even in my case, being able to pick multiple starting Temtem. Those, however, were also addressed on Twitter and were being looked into rapidly. Solid response times all around. Now, they say Temtem is an MMO, and I'm still skeptical of that tag. Sure, there are various quests you can start, there are a ton of other tamers running around the world at all times, and the initial starting zone lag as everyone tried to frantically boot up the game for the first time all felt very much like an MMO. However, MMOs typically have large-scale group activities, such as world events, dungeons, raids, and the ability to form a party with many other players just to explore the world. From what we've seen so far, it seems like the party system is limited to two-man groups, and we simply don't know much about the endgame or other forms of group content at this point in time. With that being said, the party system did work flawlessly during the stress test, and many of these other features could be added before or after launch with how responsive they have been overall. Adding a friend, however, seems like it needs some work, as you need to find that person in the same area you are in and scroll through an ever-refreshing list of players to be able to select their name. The result is any name past D quickly becomes a chore to find. Now, you'll all be pleased to know, however, that quickly they will be implementing a search for other users feature with the ability to tag friends and others as favorites, making the server prioritize placing you all together. Other than that, this system is pretty well polished and even let us remain partied when one or even both of us got disconnected from the game. Pretty impressive and more than can be said for even some AAA titles out there. Now, let's talk about the obvious comparisons to Pokemon here, since they even admit that this is heavily inspired by Pokemon. The Professor character is very much a guiding, fatherly figure who gives you your Tempedia, the equivalent of a Pokedex. I managed to encounter enough Temtem today to get that list to populate up to around 141 Temtem with a bunch of them hidden, and on the wiki it seems like it goes up to 161. So we were approaching the base of 151 Pokemon comparison as well. You have your standard rival who proceeds to kick your ass right at the very start and starts you on your journey across the archipelago. As you make your way across the world, you encounter areas of tall grass and other environments that let you have encounters with wild Temtem. The battles may feel very familiar, but they are also where this game makes a huge step away from the Pokemon formula. In Temtem, they've done away with the RNG elements of battles, such as random crits, status effects that go on for way too long, and the spamming of moves without repercussion. Every Temtem has a stamina bar, and this dictates what moves can be used and even when you can use them. It's essentially a dynamic PP meter. If your Temtem has used up too much stamina in one turn, certain moves may become unavailable next turn as your Temtem needs the rest. Also, if you're trying to work in combos or status effects over a few turns, planning out the rate at which you spend stamina can become crucial, and also allows for your opponent to read these sorts of things to somewhat predict what you may be doing the following turn. If you spend too much stamina and go down to 0, you in turn will take damage yourself. Battles are also done in a strictly 2v2 format. Certain abilities and Temtem themselves can dynamically synergize off one another, leading to combos in just your team composition alone. For instance, Crystal's Crystal Dust ability gets boosted by Tawai for being an air type, and that even works if you swap in a Temtem prior to an ability going off, meaning even swap-ins can dynamically change the state of battle rather than it being a pure hindrance to the flow of a fight. Status effects can also linger outside of battle, but their main difference is most are constrained to timers, such as being poisoned for 3 turns. If you win a fight with 1 turn left, your Temtem will only receive 1 tick of damage as you begin your travels again. This is a huge welcome change from anyone that plays Pokemon. In the instance that your Temtem are damaged or even need to be revived, you can take them to the Poké Center equivalent known as Temporiums. Here you can also pick up items from the store and even sometimes find quests here. The speed at which you get in and out of this place to heal your Temtem is so much quicker than in Pokemon, and is probably the most welcome change I didn't realize I ever needed that much. Now, in the instance that you need to heal your Temtem in the wild, you have the standard potion equivalent in this game, but you also get a special item early on called the Temescence Phial. This works sort of like a mobile Temporium in that it completely heals your entire party and their stamina one time. This gets recharged every time you visit a Temporium and makes traversing the world and farming a little more user-friendly. Dojos are essentially the equivalent of gyms and are just places to test your skills against the leader of that town or region. I didn't get that far into questing to be able to challenge a dojo leader, but it seems relatively the same. A few other things to note. In my opinion, the absolute strongest thing about this game is the visuals. The models, animations, and even particle effects are so well done. The capture animations for Temtem, while still on that 3-tick system that Pokemon has, are so cool to watch and really feel well done. The cards themselves even show the Temtem you catch at the end, rather than just a generic Pokeball with no uniqueness to it. Another aspect that the game does really well is its dynamic map that updates as you explore new areas. It is so easy to follow and understand where all the main pathways are located, and I can only assume it'll get larger and more dynamic as we explore the other islands in the archipelago. The dialogue also seems much more thought out in this game, and I dare say at times much more teen or adult oriented, with lines such as the next time around they should have drinks together. Narratively, I am already engrossed in finding out more about the characters since most encounters end up having multiple answer options and numerous things to learn from each person, including sometimes awarding quests based on those answers or items to further game progression. The last thing that really sets itself apart is the very first thing you actually encounter, the character creator. With the options they have right now and the ability to really award new cosmetics from things you do in the game, there is really an opportunity here to express yourself. This helps make the world feel more alive when every character you see running around actually looks quite different from one another. There are some features that we didn't see today, but I am eager to explore when the game releases, such as their competitive battles, featuring a full banning stage to make those battles more dynamic and balanced. Metamimetic evolution, where certain Temtem can evolve into multiple different species, a full housing customization system to really let you go further into that personalization aspect of the game, and even a robust breeding system that I can really see devoting some serious time into. Overall, I can't say I have very many complaints after participating in the stress test. It accomplished its goal of pushing login servers to their absolute breaking point. The developers addressed issues in real time, and I got to experience a small but very engaging portion of the game within the 4 hours we had. If they adjust the way adding friends works, as they mentioned, and ensure the loading times between things doesn't get out of control, I will honestly say this looks to be a super promising game for this year. One that I am incredibly excited to play more of when it plans to release in early access on January 21st. Also, personal opinion, I honestly think this is the sort of game we would have gotten from Pokemon Sword and Shield if the Pokemon team honestly cared enough to put more effort and innovation into the designs and systems of their games year after year. The genre overall has been incredibly stale, and the polish and passion Temtem seems to be putting forward already makes this game feel more engaging and polished in almost every way, and that's just me playing through the first few explorable areas. Being like Pokemon but not Pokemon is actually a huge strength, surprisingly. Anyway, I want to thank you all for stopping by. Make sure to follow Legion Gaming on all our social accounts for the latest updates, and if you still haven't done so, join our ever-growing Discord community in the link below. Now, my name is Livid, and from everyone here at Legion Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.